You guys seem to really like the series when I do the least expensive or cheapest guitar from a manufacturer like Gibson or Fender. So today we're going to be checking out the least expensive guitar from Martin Guitars. And I'd like to thank Guitar Center because they sent this guitar out so we could make this video. So let's get into the geeky stuff. What we have here is the Martin X series. This one in particular, this model is the GPC-X1E. This comes in a bunch of versions. It comes in a parlor size guitar. It comes in a dreadnought style guitar. The important part of this series is two things. One, it's made in Mexico. It's made of a combination of man-made materials and natural materials that are used in a very interesting way. This guitar has been around for a long time. Originally when it came out, it just came in black laminate. Now when I say laminate, let's be very clear. This is called HPL, or high pressure laminate. Essentially, a lot of us are familiar with Formica countertops. It's very similar in the concept and the material for sure. So this is not wood. This one comes in a Ziri Coda finish. Now you've seen it, they've done a ton of different finishes. They can do anything because this is essentially a graphic applied to the guitar. I've tried and owned a few of these over the years, and there's one in particular that has an actual solid top, a wood top. This does not have that. This is again HPL for the top, so it's a high pressure laminate, and then again the graphic. I actually prefer that, and I'll explain why, but there's nothing wrong with the other one, but I'll tell you why I prefer this one. So let's go over the materials because that's kind of be the most important thing. So you have the top, sides, and the back are made of the HPL, the high pressure laminate. Then you have a wood bracing. The brace size is 5/16. It's a scalloped brace, and like I said, it's an X brace system made of spruce. So the guitar has what obviously comes across as a very man-made material instrument. And the fact that they're still using some wood materials, especially the bracing, tells you how important that must be to them for the overall sound. It's not like they can't make braces pre-stamped out of some material. So the fact that they're still using this traditional bracing materials and system that they use, it's really means something. And that, I think that's why, like again, although you could play this same style guitar, same Martin guitar, maybe out of rosewood back and sides, maybe out of mahogany back and sides, maybe if it's a spruce top, maybe if it's a cedar top. Different materials give you different sounds, but overall the design puts you in the territory of the sound. Now the fretboard is Richlite, so it's a man-made material as well. The nut is made of corian, which is funny because the body is basically Formica and the nut is corian, so there's a lot of countertop type materials on this guitar. It's just going for the joke. Then the neck, which is interesting, is a multiply birch neck. And as you can see, when I say multiply, I mean literally it's multiply. It's not like, I don't even want to count that. It's like, it looks like 30 pieces of wood. Now, this is also important that this is also laminated with high pressure and glued and dried. So it's very, very strong. However, we'll talk about some of the issues you see with this. And then everywhere else on the guitar, you're gonna see again the man-made materials. Again, you're gonna see the high pressure laminate as a veneer on the headstock. You have the Martin tuning keys. The bridge is also Richlite. Richlite is a man-made material that looks like and tends to sound like ebony, which is what they're going for. And then the saddle is Tusk with a Q, again another man-made simulated material. The pins are plastic. The guitar comes with the Martin E1 preamp, and one of the things I love about it is tucked right inside the sound hole. So you have a tone control, you have a volume, you have a phase button to put it in and out of phase in case you're having feedback with the acoustic amplifier you're using or PA. And then you have a button here that controls the tuner when the tuner comes on, and the tuner is inside the sound hole facing up at you so you can see it clearly, and no one can tell you're tuning, but they do think you're looking in your sound hole, which is a little strange. The neck comes with 20 nickel silver frets, and you have these abalone-like inlays. Also important to mention is this one joins the body at the 14th fret. Obviously some Martins and acoustics are on the 12th fret, some are the 14th. This joins at the 14th fret. This is also a good point to point out that the scale length on this is 25.4. So a little shorter, obviously, than a 25.5 inch or 25.5 inch scale length. This is pretty standard for Martin. You have a 16-inch radius fretboard, so pretty flat. And it comes with 12 to 52 strings. Let's see, let's double check that. Yeah, it looks like a 12 to 52 or 12 to 53 strings. And we have Foster bronze, so these aren't 80/20s. So Foster bronze tend to be a little brighter than the 80/20s to my ears. So I actually think this guitar sounds really warm sounding. That's what I always thought about the first ones too. You kind of think with all this man-made material, all this harsh materials, you think it's going to be very bright and thin sounding. Instead, it's very bassy and very soft sounding. It definitely has a Martin sound. This is a guitar that's fantastic for travel. It's fantastic for taking outside. This is why I said I prefer this one over the solid top one. Doing repair for 20 years in Arizona, this particular model would come into repair for the same things. There's two things that we would repair on this style, this model guitar. If it had a solid top, we were repairing either the crack because they weren't humidifying the top, even though the rest of the guitar doesn't need a ton of humidification, although it's a good idea to keep it about 50% humidity, just like a normal acoustic guitar, or even 60% humidity. The tops would crack. The other thing would happen is because of where we live, where it's so hot and dry, the materials would move at different rates, and we would always see a seam crack on the tops. They would break away from the HPL. So I did not see very many to no repairs of the HPL material if the top and the body sides were all HPL. The only exception to that is sometimes in extreme dryness and extreme heat, you would get a sinking little, the top would sink a little bit. And again, that was for someone leaving in a car where it can get 120 to 140 degrees easy in Arizona. So something to think about. I've never experienced extreme cold issues, so I don't know what the extreme cold issues can bring. But this guitar in the extreme heat, it takes heat well. But when I say heat well, I mean as good as you do. So anything above what you can handle, I don't think the guitar is going to do much better than you. This particular model comes with a deluxe Martin gig bag that's actually very cool looking. It's got the Martin logo stitched in there. It's not silkscreen. It's got a gray look to it and the blue, light sky blue look. A very large, oversized front pouch. There's no mini pockets or anything like that, but you do get, oh, what do you get? You get a scan code thing. Important information found here. That's cool. That's classy. Instead of a manual, you get a QR code that you can scan, but it's on a piece of wood. It's all lasered on there. It's kind of cool. I'm gonna leave that there. Am I missing? There's no adjustment tool? This one had no adjustment tool with it. So interesting. That's fun, because Martins have a very interesting adjustment tool. Luckily I have one. So very nice gig bag. I usually kind of hold them like this to let you see. Very firm, very well padded. I would say, you know, I wouldn't check this on a plane. It wouldn't last, but definitely strong enough to carry it around anywhere and feel like the instrument's protected. Very nice bag. So that's included in the price of the guitar. The other thing to point out is this model, okay, has a ton of different price points. This is as low as $500 and as high as $700, $800, and they're all pretty much the same, just depending on the size you pick and the style you pick, and of course the aesthetic features. Again, this is not real wood. This is a graphic. I don't know if they print it on here or if it's wrapped like a car wrap. I don't know what it is. I do know this: when you look on pictures online and I look at this guitar, they're exactly the same. Like it looks exact, like all the knots, everything's in the same spot. So whatever they're doing, it's very uniform. It's not random. Let's do measurements first. Okay, let's start with the nut. The nut width is 1.740 or 44.21 millimeters. The width of the neck at the 12th fret, 54.05 millimeters or 2.128. Now, if you've played a Martin guitar, this has a very, in my opinion, traditional feeling Martin neck. In other words, it does not feel different to me than the other Martins I've owned or played or currently own. So the neck feels very comfortable. It's not a chunky neck by any means, but, and the carve is very comfortable. Very C-shape, very comfortable carve. Thickness of the first fret is 0.836 or 21.25 millimeters. And thickness of the 12th fret, 29.24 millimeters or 1.151. So again, this is not a chunky neck. Fret height is 0.047 or 1.20 millimeters. Fret width is 0.078 or 1.99 millimeters, which means these frets are medium or referred to as medium regular. Let's go ahead and check the frets. Okay, so we have a little bit right here on the 9th fret, in between the E and the B, a little bit of a rock there. Okay, so no issues except for that one fret. We'll play that one at the 9th fret and see how it sounds. Let's go ahead. We'll play above it and below it. See, it sounds clear. So I would say I'm going to leave it alone, but you now know that you're aware that it's a little bit high. Could you tap that down and stuff? You could do all kinds of stuff, but again, you know, I want to leave it alone. There's a saying I say, don't get greedy. Well, you know, your desire to want everything to be perfect is great, but sometimes if things are working, they're working, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's check the fret ends. Let's go ahead and do a sock test. So if you're new to the channel, sock test, we take a nylon sock and we check areas to see if they scratch the sock, because it's a great way to show you what I feel, right? Because it's hard to articulate that. Plus it's a nice little fun little test, right? Okay, so we're gonna do the side here, and that is a 5 out of 5. And look at that, no issues right there. I'll do it again just to make sure. Yeah, look at that, 5 out of 5, no scratching whatsoever. On the bass side, we have another 5 out of 5. And the other thing we like to do is just here to see if there's anything that scratches here on your hand or on the bridge. I mean, that's 5 out of 5. We get to reuse the sock. Real quick, I want to do the fret polish. And these feel gritty to me. They're a little scratchy. So I don't think they're highly polished. I really think a polish job would do a lot for this guitar. So what I want to show you real quick is how to polish your frets. I do have a video, and I'll put a link down to it, where I do 10 different polishing methods, and it talks about my most preferred and least preferred. But more importantly, I just want to share with you why I think you should do it. First, the reason I like polished frets is it does reduce the friction when you do bends. I know on an acoustic you don't do a ton of bending, but the other reason is I think it makes your frets last longer. I'm going to show you guys the easiest way if you don't have a lot of tools, which is to use triple aught or quadruple aught or 4/aught steel wool. A lot of people don't like this because it makes a mess. I understand that. That's why I have a video showing you the other methods. However, this is the least expensive. Now, the next thing you need is either some painter's tape or some fret guards. But more importantly, whether you're doing acoustic or electric, I like to bag the guitar. You just use a black trash bag and you just pull it over the entire guitar. Once you pull the bag over the guitar, what I do is I just pull it back around the fretboard, and that's where I'm going to use painter's tape. The thing I like to do is put the painter's tape directly on the body of the guitar to make the seam to the bag, like so. Now you can either painter's tape off the entire fretboard, exposing each fret, or you can do 2 pieces of painter's tape and do 1 fret at a time. You would just run the tape against the edge of a fret, do the other side. For reference, this is more than enough steel wool to do the entire guitar multiple times. So what I want you to do is, I want you to listen to these 2 frets. Here is the polished fret. Here is a not polished fret. You don't have to see it, you can feel it. It's a massive difference. And like I said, if you don't want to use steel wool, because a lot of people don't like the mess, they don't like the problems it brings, again, link in the description down below to a video that shows you 10 different polishing methods, including my favorite, which is using a Dremel, which takes a little bit more skill. And another tip, I also use the painter's tape when I'm done to pick up the steel wool like a lint roller. The other thing I want to now is check the nut. There's a couple ways to do that. The fastest way, of course, is just take your ring finger, push down on the 3rd fret, and then press here on the 1st fret. What you want in a perfect world is you want no space between that top of that fret and the bottom of your string. It makes it easy to do those nice F chords. Feels great. Action, we usually do that first, but we're gonna do that now. Looking at the action off the 12th fret, we are at 2.25 millimeters off the low E, 1.75 high E, 2, 2, 2.25, 2 to 2.25. So I'm going to give it the 2.25 action off the 12th fret. And for those interested, this guitar weighs 4.94 pounds. Let's take a look at the back of the guitar. You have a strap button, which is cool because one of my things I really don't like is when they have to share the strap button with the output jack. So having a strap button adjacent to the output jack is really nice. Then there's also a strap button here for those that don't like to tie a shoestring around the headstock. Which I don't, so that's kind of nice that's here. It also lets me install locking strap. The back control, when you open up, this is your battery. Design-wise, it looks pretty good. None of these things matter unless it doesn't sound good or play good. So let's take it in the studio, see how it sounds. A couple things to mention is, as you guys know, I always spend a few weeks, if not a few months, with every guitar that we do a deep dive on. The fretboard is slightly rolled. At first, it doesn't feel very rolled, but it's really comfortable and it feels really nice on the edge. Also, it's a little top heavy, but not much, you know, because the neck is obviously pretty heavy being multi laminated. Okay, so let's go ahead and play something. Here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and hear how it sounds with the electronics. So this is the transducer pickup. It's just underneath the saddle. There's no other microphones or anything inside the guitar. I'm just running it through a Fishman Loudbox Micro. This guitar really is great for electric guitar players who are trying to get into a first nice acoustic, something a little better sounding than your average $200-300 acoustics that you've probably tried when you were starting out. Now you have a nicer electric guitar collection or a few electric guitars that you like and you want to kind of expand your acoustics, but you're maybe nervous about the rules of acoustics. In other words, how do you humidify them? This is a great way to get into a quality instrument. Nothing is zero maintenance, but this has no more maintenance than any electric guitar. So that's the best way to put that. So if this was in a rack with a couple electric guitars, there's nothing you would do to this guitar differently to your electric guitars. And that is a great way to start your acoustic journey, to the better quality acoustic guitars, because one downfall about high-end beautiful acoustic guitars, they sound fantastic, but they come with more maintenance. It's the opposite. It's inexpensive acoustic guitars have way less maintenance when it comes to making sure that they're hydrated, making sure that they're taken care of. So this is a great way to get into that. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive video. You can check out another deep dive video right here or enjoy a playlist. And as always, I want to thank you for your time. Until the next time, know your gear.